Hey everybody, welcome back to the Stone Protocol podcast. Today we have Talyn, and I think I'm going to mispronounce her last name, Talyn Fiore, which I want to say Fury because that sounds like a superhero name. But many of the people we have on this podcast actually are superheroes in their own way. And I think everyone technically is a superhero when we embrace ourselves in that way. And Talyn definitely has. And so I'm really excited to learn along with you, the listener, about the work that Talyn does. I've gone through her social media. It's been very, very cool to watch her videos. I'm really excited actually to learn, Talyn, about your kind of like living novel that you have on your YouTube. I'm a published novelist too, but the way that you're doing it sounds really cool. So I'm very excited to hear about that. Some of the Reiki stuff that you do, and then some of the jewelry that you make. I love jewelry and I believe that they are magical items. And so I'm curious how you imbue that magic that you do into that jewelry and into the work that you do. So this is just going to be a fun conversation of sharing magic and how we help people. And so welcome to the Stone Protocol.
Thank you. It's so nice to meet you and to come on today. I'm excited to just have some fun and talk about different ways that people can connect to their superhuman abilities. I love the jewelry, just I don't make it. It's a jewelry line called Kate King, and it is based on quantum physics. I started wearing it a few years ago as just a content trade, but then it completely changed my life. Because what I didn't realize is that we're 70% water. So when you put a crystal on you, this is actually denser than we are. So we match and mimic the frequency of the gem. And so it's been really fun the last year bringing it into my practice with my clients, because I think, as all of us know, on the journey, there's a lot of work, right? It's like there's a lot of work and it's beautiful and it's blessed. It's also really heavy sometimes. So I love being able to put on a gem tool, is what we call them, and it immediately shifts your vibrations. That's something that's been really fun. I noticed a lot of your jewelry. So I know, I always love, I work with a few men. I find like most of them are Italian or Greek and they get these like big golden pieces. But I love it because so many of the people I work with are women. But I feel like in the spiritual space, so much of the crystals is like a crystal on a rock, like on a leather cord. As you can see, this is like faceted and it's beautiful, and it feels a little bit more sparkly, which I love. But it's been a really fun journey with that, to have something be a tool that works without you having to put any output into it. I feel like so much of it's like, okay, now you need to wake up and you need to meditate and you need to do this. And that is so amazing, but it is nice having a tool that does some of the heavy lifting for you.
So let's dive into this. So I have in this ring, this is a healing quartz, so the master quartz crystal, the
Yeah.
most like abundant crystal on the face of planet Earth, and one of the most powerful because Mother Gaia loves us. They're like, here, have healing quartz crystal.
Yeah.
And then I've got black onyx set in this one. So
Amazing.
so yeah, right here, it's a
Yeah,
little
yeah, yeah.
little dot of it.
Huh?
And so walk us through some of the things that you find, what crystals do well for what. I have this as healing quartz close to my heart, and then I have black onyx for the left hand of chem of some of the other magic that I do that's a little darker, a little more mysterious.
Yeah.
And then I intentionally don't have any jewelry on my right hand, just to do kind of like from my heart out sending.
Yeah, totally.
And so from your experience working both with this brand, how, if a person maybe has more anxiety, would they use a certain crystal? Like walk us through it. I'm genuinely curious. I want to learn.
Yeah, it's so interesting. So the founder of the line, Kate King, she realized that each of us has unique vibration. And so she actually was wearing pearls like all the time to help with an issue, but they started making her eyesight go away. So she was like, what is it about the pearls that I can't wear? So she did research for 5 years, testing thousands of people, and realized that in her language, she's a double fire. And so water is pearls, right? So it's like constantly putting out her fire. So what we do, yeah, in this Kate King is, first I would figure out what your unique vibration is. And then from there, figuring out what gem tool you need. Like you were kind of saying, there are tools that are so much better for anxiety, but we want to make sure first, what are your elements? So if you're a fire, we're not putting water on you, and vice versa. And so we work with a lot of storm stones. What I'm wearing right now, it's called a Zalgon Gen, but it's a garnet tanzanite. And so it is a storm. So everyone can wear storm, which is why I love working with storm. Like when I do live shopping and stuff like that, I only show storm because I want to make sure if I'm giving you something, it's going to help you. But firestones are, citrine. It's going to be really good for money, success, abundance, because it's bringing in Jupiter, it's bringing in the sun. And then for you, something black like that, that's very protective, black tourmaline, black onyx, things like that. They're going to be helpful for empaths that take in a lot of energy. This is like the one I'm wearing today, which is kind of, it has like almost like a heart of the ocean vibe,
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like my happy stone. So it's when I want to feel bubbly and connected, but it also has so many Hindu pieces to it and Taoism to help have bring in all these ancestors to really help you speak clarity through your highest self and not just your ego self.
Wow. I really like the notion of what you said about having something and have it passively help us. So a lot of the things that I notice, whether it's for the heart meditation I do and the chakra meditation I do to really like enhance my field, if
Yeah.
I don't keep that up, it's like the barrier lessens and then I'm subjected to all of the negativity around me. So I
Mhm.
constantly have to upkeep that. But when I do wear jewelry, it is itself doing a thing. And it's
Yeah.
inside of my field. I had never thought, and I love this idea. Again, it's why I love talking to other cool magic people, because I also learn things on these podcasts. That let's say I were a fire sign. I'm technically a Pisces, but I have a lot of fire too. If I were to wear a water element, that could actually potentially hinder me. And so I'm curious from your guys' system, and as you do this with your clients and
Mhm.
for this other organization, how they conceptualize it.
Yeah.
How can you understand what you are in our manifestation and then pair match a certain tool to then be more effective to accentuate your good aspects,
Mhm.
shore up against some of your deficits, and then certainly make sure that we don't hinder ourselves?
Yeah, and it's so interesting because as a client, I kind of was just looking at the website. Like I was like, I want this gem to do that, and I want this gem to do that. But that's really the benefit of doing a consultation, which I do and she does, and they're all free. Like to get the information about you as a soul is free because what we do is we look at your soul frequency, which is based on your birth. So for you, it would be water, right? And then we look at your physical frequency, which we ask you a number of questions. We look at your physical characteristics. So then we basically tell you what your unique profile is from there. And then based on that, we'll tell you what elements you should and shouldn't wear. So it actually becomes like this beautiful science. And that's why I'm so passionate about it because I feel like people see them on me on my stories and they're like, I want to buy that. I'm like, let's like have a conversation and let me also give you some information about you as a person. Because every time I do it, I'm like, for me, for instance, I'm a soul fire, but I'm a physical wind. The primary action of fire is going to be action. Or excuse me, the primary value is action. So it's like go, do, lead, shine, da da. But a wind, which my physical, that's more of the physical manifestation of the personality. Wind is a perfectionist, hard on themselves, ruminates, very multitasking, kind of like always like, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. So together, if you think of wind and fire, that's like chaotic. So I need a lot of grounding.
Yeah, I was just visualizing grounding. Yeah, deep grounding. Yeah.
Deep grounding. And so when I feel great, a firestone like brings me in my absolute power. But if I'm depleted, a firestone will be too much on me. I need to wear something that's a little bit more nourishing to the body. But for me, I can only wear fire and storm in this science. I always say take what resonates. We're also talking about just the chakras. We have more leniency on your fingers. Also, you can work in your hands with any element.
Right.
Of course,
Right.
you know, it's just like what are you wearing on your body that's actually influencing your frequency. So for me,
Well,
I
because
have,
this is right over my, and
yeah,
I have a giant tattoo over my heart chakra as well. So I have alchemical symbols on that too. So I have to be
yeah,
careful what I let in my field. But when I have a wand, a crystal wand, whether it's tourmaline or quartz or aquamarine, whatever it is, and then I
yeah.
leverage that. But then I set that back on the altar, and that's over there now. It's not actually in my field.
Totally. And you can feel such a difference. I splurged years ago and got this custom pearl necklace made. Every time I wore it, I got a headache. I also can't wear water. So it's one of those things. Same thing. I have tanzanite earrings. Not this is a different, this is a storm, but normal tanzanites are wind. So whenever I'd wear them, they'd almost get me more scattered because wind is too much wind, right? And so it's really fun to work with people. And I work with people all over the world. And the consultation's completely complimentary because Kate has such a beautiful heart of more information to more people is an empowered person. And then from there, if you want, usually I ask if you want to change or enhance three things. And then I will prescribe different tools for you because like I have 14 because you can't build a house with a hammer, right? It's like every day I need something a little different. Sometimes like I just had something different on that I just put this on because we're talking today. So it's like you can literally pinpoint day to day and change your pendant all throughout the day and really influence your frequency. It's so cool.
What I'm thinking of here, and I love this. So, like, thank you for joining me in this conversation.
Yeah.
This is exactly what I want. Thank you. I see Reiki is another one of your, and if I'm wrong, tell me, but Reiki is another one of your primary modalities.
Yeah.
Do you also leverage astrology as well with this? Because in astrology, for me, I'm much more kind of like ethereal, and I have other very close friends who are more astrologers, and they help me understand the system better.
Yeah.
but I could see being like, okay, this is where a certain astrological alignment is. I'm going to now pair match to myself a stone and jewelry, and also pair match to either counterbalance something that's maybe not great in my chart today, or wow, this is a really great day for this. I'm going to double down and get a force multiplier. Do you notice that like double harmonics happening?
That's a really interesting question. I would say I know a good amount about astrology. I'm not completely versed in it. Most of what I know is through being trained with the Kate King kind of philosophy, but I'm a huge believer in the collective feeling and this and that. But I also feel like I think it's a language is so helpful. I'm a massive astrologist, astrocartographer, like all the things, but I also want to always make sure I'm treating the individual what they actually feel in the moment versus you're about to have an eclipse. It might feel like ABC. I always like, even it's so funny when I do a consultation with someone, I'll usually choose about 5 and they'll be like, can you take a picture and remember these? And I'm like, that's not the point. This is what you need right now. You're going to get one. It's going to help you. And then when we connect in a few months for your second piece, let's see where you are there. Let's let the first piece do its work. But I'm such a believer of there is such a harmonic and there's so much synergy between the two, but I always want to look at the person kind of beyond it. Like I'll see what they are frequency wise with those tools we have, but then I'm like, but what is your heart saying? Like what, because sometimes they're like, I want money and I want love, but then I'll pick 5 tools based on my intuition. I'll have them listen with their eyes closed, and the one that's calling most is like healing past trauma.
Right. Well, to have those things, you may need to do some of this other
Exactly.
work.
I'm like, listen with your heart. And they're like, gosh, I got really emotional in that green one that's all about, healing the heart. And I'm like, well, before you can have the foundation for these things you want, we got to go in there and do some work. And then we can, add some trim to the house and like put up, different things. But it's really interesting. But I do find it's very balanced with Reiki. Every one of my clients, I have a lot of one-on-one clients all over the world. It is like I have this entire new toolkit where I can help them when I'm not there. Because for years, I work with people on a weekly basis. And so many times, the people that do the work in between really soar. Some people just come to me almost to fill up their cup once a week, which is great. But now I have these tools of like, hey, we've been working on fear. So here's a green tourmaline for you and a Byron emerald that's going to help between the sessions. So I don't feel like I have to like fill you up and then you come back, the next week really depleted. It's able to kind of help bridge that gap. So it's such a nice thing to have that, because I obviously can't be around everyone all the time helping.
Right. Do you do your Reiki sessions at distance as well?
Yeah, so I started in person in LA. Everything was in person. And then I traveled for 2 years and I think I slept in like over 55 beds in 2 years. It was all over the world. So my whole practice went virtual. So I would say about 95% virtual. I just started doing in person again now that I'm in Nashville. Same with the jewelry. Like I do everything virtual, but I feel a really big calling recently back to in person. And so that's been interesting to navigate because they're so different, but they both bless me and the other person in different ways. So now I'm probably just going to do a mixture of the two.
Can we speak for a moment? Because I do both in-person sessions with healing and psychedelic healing here in Colorado. It's legal.
Yeah.
And then coaching at distance on Zoom. And a lot of people at first would be like, I don't want to do this on Zoom. I want it in person. And say, come to Colorado. It's fine. Like, sounds great. But I have an entire protocol where I do a heart connection with the other person, and like quantum tunneling is a thing. Like, you can harmonize. Like, it doesn't matter if someone's in Australia, you can have that connection. And so I'm curious your experience as a Reiki, healer and as a facilitator, what that's like for you. I have that visceral sense and I communicate that with clients, but I think there's a cognitive leap, and it's interesting. Science is actually helpful because they talk about superposition and we actually like have a foundation for this to work. It's like, we're saying the same thing here. So I guess, can you share some of your experience around that?
Yeah, it's so interesting because I was actually one of the naysayers in the beginning. I had an in-person practice. When I started traveling, I thought I was putting Reiki down. Like I was like, okay, I feel this call to travel and go on this spiritual sojourn. But it was interesting. It's funny you mentioned Australia. I did a group healing from a healer in Australia, and there was like 100 of us on the call, and I was so physically affected that I threw up after. And like it was a good release.
Yeah, getting well. Yeah.
Yeah, but it was like me having this aha moment of I even had that block before. And I reached out to some of my clients at the time in LA because I left and was in Sedona. And I said, hey, let's just try it. Let's jump in and see what it feels like. There's 3 levels in Reiki. Level 1's all self-healing, but level 2, you actually get a distance symbol. So it's actually built in, like you're really not supposed to work on people until level 2, and you get the second and the third symbol. And the third is distance. And what we're taught is that energy is not reliant on time and space. I say the same thing with my Reiki videos on Instagram. I'll set the intention before. People message me years later and say, oh my gosh, this felt incredible. How is it possible? You filmed this years ago. And because it's all energy goes where intention flows. And my intention when I film the video is everyone who interacts with this video now, like near future or in the past, present, future, you know what I'm trying to say? It's going to affect them. And I've seen that with so much evidence real time of what people say about the videos. So that kind of shattered my belief. And what I found, some people love to do Reiki distance because they're in their space.
Yes.
So
I am one of those people. When
yeah,
I'm in my, so my apartment is a temple. I've got Metatron cube sigils on every window. Even the chimney is like solid and it vibrates. And
yeah,
so when I'm there, I just am a force multiplier because of all of my magical tools, everything. It's
yeah.
like, you want me in like Superman's cave, whatever, on like, that's what that is for me, sending
Mhm.
out to you and bringing you here and me going there. Like, you trust me, you want this. If you want to come here, you can, but this is my like seat of power to be able to help you.
Yeah, exactly. Same for you and same for them, because a lot of people subconsciously have blocks. When someone's laying in their own bed in their house, they typically let the Reiki in much quicker. And also, I feel like I can expand them even bigger because I know that they're not going to get in a car after. I had a crazy breathwork session with a client a few days ago that was so exceptional, but she had to stick around for quite a bit of time before I felt safe. And I was giving her water and nuts because I was like, we got to get you back in your body before you go in a car. And so that is something to think about, especially with the breathwork side of things. I feel like people are able to yell louder because I'm like, you can even put yourself on mute. Like, I don't have to hear you, I just have to see you. And so like they can scream and like kick around versus if they're in someone's house, they're like, there's a little bit of resistance there. So I find the people that love virtual love it, and the people that love in person love it. And I find that I have a few in-person clients that still, when I go to LA, they're like, can I see you? I'm like, we can see each other weekly. And they're just the ones that most of them have kids. So they actually want somewhere to leave to have that time because they're virtual. They can't shut off because they're thinking of what's going on in the home. So
Yeah.
I find both are so valuable, but in different ways.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting. Some of the work that I do is I work with people with pretty serious sexual trauma in their past. It's something I've overcome with myself. And so I can hold those keys for others. And for them, it can be helpful to be in a new location, to have those memories come up. So it's almost like doesn't cloud that other space because a lot of those memories are partitioned even in their own mind due to separation. And so they want to kind of reintroduce that slowly into their own homes. And so doing that in my space is helpful for them. And so that resonates. It makes sense.
That makes so much sense. Yeah, because you don't want to have that memory seep into their space.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
We feel
because
like slow.
and you too, like you have we build the sacred space for them to come into, and we also know how to clear it too.
Yes.
So I feel like we're making sure after the session that we're cleaning up versus when they're in their home, it's a little different. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, I'm just curious, and I think people love to hear stories and testimonials. What have been some of your most powerful experiences holding that healing container for others? Some transformations that you've seen for clients?
Yeah, I feel like it's such a gamut of thing, especially male to female. Females have such an interesting way of opening quicker. But I feel like sometimes when I work with the males, once they open, it is the most tender and beautiful thing because the softness under the shell is just so impeccable. I would say that Reiki, for males that I work with, it allows them to let in feminine energy in a way that doesn't have to be romantic. And a lot of the clients that come to me, they only see females as potential romance or their mother. Those are or sister, but those are their only reference points. So I love being this female force that allows them to feel loved by the feminine that doesn't want anything in return from them. Doesn't need love, doesn't need intimacy, doesn't need anything. So I feel like I've worked with a lot of hyper masculine men to really soften them into receiving. And not even that they stepped into their feminine as much, but almost that they could be around feminine more, but receive it in a way that was more nourishing for them.
Yeah.
And then on the female side, I've
Can I,
worked
can
with,
I can I speak to
yeah,
that?
of course.
I think what you're saying is really important. What is coming up for me there is a lot of males who have trauma in their past, for males or females, or particularly people with the mother wound. It's hard to receive that nourishment of energy from a female and feel safe. And so a lot of men will then put themselves in a position of dominance, even just socially, hierarchically, because our society is built that way,
Yeah.
to have power over, whether it's mansplaining or whatever it is, machismo, because they don't know how to receive that energy from a person. Now, they may know how to receive it sexually, as you mentioned, but even just peers or friendship or healing, that is like a radically foreign idea. And the times they've received that in the past has been potentially quite negative if there is the mother wound. And again, not blaming the mother in that way. There's a thousands of years of pain and trauma that then, you know, mothers are like just burdened with. And so they're doing their best. And so what I'm hearing is that when you work with males, you're able to then give them this opportunity and this window into this is what it's like to receive healing energy, non-sexual. I'm not trying to extract from you. I'm not trying to trauma dump on you either, but this is healing energy. I am a conduit from a larger place and then activating something in you to catalyze the healing process in your own body.
Exactly. You said it so eloquently because it really is channeling that mother energy. It is the mother wound feeling that they never got, and they're able to get it on that table from me, really from their mother's highest self, right? Their mother's human self is the one that caused the discomfort. And so a lot of the times the mother's highest self will come in, or the grandmother, and will really hold that man or that boy and just say, we love you. This was how it was all written for you, but like you are so loved by the feminine. And it's interesting, even outside of my practice, I have a lot of male friends, and I have felt like it has been this thing that this almost like mission upon me to realize men can have friend with women. I have so many platonic men friendships, but one
Sweet,
of
I'll be your friend.
yeah,
Done.
yeah.
Done. You got any friend? Lights as your friend.
It was so funny. Like one of my most recent ones, this was like a couple years ago. I remember he kept being like, do you like me? Like, what is going on? And I was like, I can promise you, I don't like you in that way, but like, I do want to hang out with you. And I remember it took so many times hanging out where finally that softening happened of just, wow, you really just want to be my friend. And I'm like, yeah, this is something that I've had so many guy friends where that's happened. And it's so cool to see the shell soften, because I think that platonic friendships are so important, because then you don't need everything in your romantic relationships. I feel so fulfilled with masculine energy, whether that's straight or gay, it doesn't even matter. But like that just, biological man energy helps to make me feel that type of support. So I don't need it in other ways. It's just such a beautiful balance that I don't think is talked about or nourished enough in society.
One of the things that I see on the podcast, I have Christian pastors and we have a wide variety, and I don't agree with everything that they have. I have a good friend of mine. His name is Matt Patrick. He's the pastor of the Well here in Boulder, and they have a very patriarchal system within their community, their Christian community. And I go and I go to church services there just because I want to be a member of many different locations. And their community is fantastic, but they don't have female pastors. And this is a contention piece for he and I love and respect him, but every single time it comes up, I say, where I come from, there are priests and priestesses. That is how I do. And I think that when a society doesn't have a peer group between males and females, males then don't know how to interact with females as a platonic relationship. You are either like mother or lover or sister, I guess. And unless they like had a sister, then they don't know what that looks like. And so the buckets to then put that energy into and that relationship into, there are missing buckets. And so I love having female friends and treating them as peers and then to learn as well. And I think in a society that doesn't have that flat hierarchical patriarch and matriarch together, each as wisdom holders together, servicing the community and themselves, I think if we don't have that, we're fucked. And so like, I'm very a strong proponent of this.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's my TED talk.
Because it's also just, if your only experience with the other sex is when there's relationship elements, which is like that's its own whole beauty and shadow work all mixed together, you don't truly know because in a relationship, there's different dynamics at play. There's wants, there's needs, there's desires, there's a lot of things going on there. And when you are able to be a friend to someone of a different sex than you learn so much more because they're just telling you it's straight. They have no ulterior motive.
No, totally.
They're just like, this is what I feel. And you're like, wow, this is probably what that person I dated felt like on the other side. It's just,
Yes.
it's so eye-opening. And I think it's really beautiful. But I think that, yeah, I agree with I love God. I'm a huge churchgoer. When I was traveling, I went to like 100 different Christian churches. And it was so cool to see how, like, even in the same religion, how everyone is translating it differently. And, some people care that I do Reiki, some don't, but I'm always like, I'm here for God. Like, I'm here to like spend time with God, and the God that I know like is the one who led me to Reiki, right?
Yeah.
So
And
like,
and loves us.
yeah,
And
like they're so
love. Yeah.
complimentary.
Love that one. Yeah.
Yeah, the loving God. That's the one
Yeah.
that I hang out with.
Well, there's some fear gods that are like, I don't know, they wear the hat of a Christian, and I don't know what that is, but yeah,
Yeah.
it's something else. I wanted to touch on what you said. I have another podcaster friend. Her name is Melly. She does the podcast of Babe Philosophy,
Okay.
and so I can put you guys in touch. It would be a fun podcast to be
Yeah, I
on
would love
too.
to.
And she and I are platonic friends. She's married, has a husband, and she very appropriately talks about her relationship, what she's going through. She's not like trauma dumping or talking shit about her husband. He's great. I'm friends with him as well. But to hear her perspective on their relationship, for me, I learned so much. I'm like, oh my God, like totally makes sense. And not that he's doing anything wrong. He's just
Yeah.
like a dude living his life.
Just to hear how a woman's mind works.
Yeah, it's why. And it's very different than the masculine. And then I'm like, if that was me, maybe this is why he did that thing. And she's like, I can hear that from you. I don't think I would understand if he said that. I was like, well, because there's zero charge, but
Yeah.
to hear her perspective and her to hear my perspective, I don't know. So yeah, I'm just like affirming what you're saying.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's such a great thing. And like, there's just like, we're two halves of the population. Like, like we should all talk to each other besides
Yeah.
in
And
one
try
avenue
to
of
get
like, I want
along.
to sleep with you. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. And then try to, and because then we can all co-create really cool stuff and really cool art. And this is like a perfect dovetail into, and I only looked at it a little bit because I wanted to ask you about it.
Yeah, yeah.
So the co-creating of a novel on YouTube with your audience
Yeah.
that they are involved too. It's
Yeah.
like super meta 2026. Like, tell me more. That sounds awesome.
Yeah, it is. This project has been such a labor of love. So it is the reason the book exists is because it's what led to my spiritual awakening. I feel like that's the most asked question I always get, like what led to it. And so this book was originally a television show that I wrote back in 2000, probably like 18 or 19. I pitched it around, to Netflix and HBO. It almost got made. I was so excited. It at its core it was called Miscommunication. It was about the miscommunication between men and women. And at the time, how social media was amplifying that because, social media is so different now, but like back then you could see someone on their story or Venmo or like, and it was so new back then that it was like people were getting caught red-handed in a lot of situations because there was so much new information, right? And so I got really close with getting the show made. I like wrote it, directed it, shot the pilot.
Oh,
But
wow. Okay.
like,
And you're in LA, so I used to work in LA a lot. That
Yeah.
makes sense for like LA community, but other people are like, how do you do that? But in LA, that's like a thing that happens.
Yeah, that's like a thing. And I was really lucky to get a pretty good executive producer. So she got us the meetings, almost got it made. At the time, COVID had just happened. They were like, nobody wants reality. Everyone wants like Emily in Paris and Game of Thrones, escapism, right? And so I kind of put it down. And it's a really difficult story for me to tell because a lot of my shame lives there. A lot of the pieces that I don't like to talk about live there. And so I was like, okay, the story's done. Like, we don't have to ever talk about it again.
Almost like as an easy out, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, when you get so close to getting something made, it's also devastating. So you're kind of like also putting it down because you're like, I can't go through that again, right? And so I published 2 other books. I started writing a spiritual utopian novel that I'm still writing. And through a million turn of events over the last few years, I was living in Ashland, Oregon, and the fires were blazing. I didn't know anyone. And I had a coach for my utopian book that I was writing. He left town. So Summer I Turned Pretty 2 came out and like the world went crazy. And I was like, girls between like 12 and 60 were obsessed with this show. And I was like, what is going on? What is it about this Twilight, 50 Shades, similar to like this yearning thing that has girls of every age hooked? And so I thought of my show Miscommunication, and I was like, I could write that. That story is that. Like, it's just turned on its head a bit. So I just started writing it, and it kind of poured out of me in a way that I've never experienced. I was writing like 10 hours a day, like for a week. I thought I like was actually dead because I didn't leave the house, and there was
Wow,
like
she
fire in
was
the place.
really like really in it.
Yeah,
Okay.
like couldn't stop. But
Yeah.
then it also opened up a lot of my old wounds
I was
because
gonna
when you're
say healing was probably occurring as well,
yeah.
right?
And I changed the characters' names. Just I think that one step is really helpful because then it's no longer a memoir, and it protects everyone's privacy. It also gives you a lot more compassion for the characters. So the main character is Spencer, which is my middle name. So she's a piece of me, but she's not Talyn Fiore. So I feel like I
Like
can
that.
write it, but it was really difficult because when you're writing a character, you have to give the audience backstory. So now I'm like sifting into all my trauma, and like it was really painful. And then the creative well just kind of shut off. And I was like, okay, I guess that was for me. I guess I wasn't meant to finish it. And then I think maybe a year or two later came back on, and a lot of other stuff that I talk about in the origin story. But it kind of finished one day. It was like I was talking to Kate, the owner of the jewelry, and she was like, you have an ex in your field. And I was like, that's so weird because I haven't dated anyone in 3 years. I don't like miss anyone. And she was like, are you working on a project about an ex? And I was like, well, it's not, it's like about a lot of people. And she goes, that energy is still so alive in your field because you're writing it. She was like, I feel like you should finish it to get it out of your body. And so I went to Mexico and thought I would take a few months. It finished in 10 days. Like, same thing happened.
Oh,
Couldn't stop, like, just poured out of me. And so then, unfortunately, the day it finished, there was a sudden death in my family. So, like, it just kind of, pushed it all to the side.
but that's when you finished it.
A
So it's
day,
like you finish and close then yeah.
literally right into the death.
Transition.
Yeah, and like thank God it finished so fast. It was like I was like it finished, and then it was this death portal, and moved here. I got a concussion. It was just like thing after thing was happening, and so um, after about 6 months after my concussion, finally being healed and doing a lot of neurofeedback, like in November, the project, I kid you not, she was like, I want to like be born now. And I'm like, okay, like we have to get you published, we have to get you edited. Like there's so much to do. And I've done this before. I've gotten a book deal. Like the terms are, like, you don't own your book, but
It's
then
wild. Yeah.
self-publishing is its own riot. And so I was like, I don't know what you would do. And I kept hearing, I want you to read me to the world. So I was like, okay, I guess I'll do an audiobook then. But I looked at it and I go, like this is the third draft. I've had two editors look at it, but I was like, it's not finished. Like I feel like there's still so much to figure out. And she was just like shouting, like, I want to be read now. I want to be read now. And I was like, I don't know what you want me to do. Like, I can only do things so quick. And then it was like, I'm obsessed with whiteboarding. So there was like a week where I was just whiteboarding every day. Like, what's going on? I feel like something wants to come through. And so then streaming came through really strong. It was like, I want you to read me to the world unfinished, unedited, and get the world's feedback.
Yeah, it's so I have also published books. The thought of doing that to me is like,
It's literally insane. And now that I'm actually doing it, it's even more insane. I have a tendency to jump into something before I get nervous. So like I can't talk myself out of it. I just
yeah,
jump in.
yeah.
And so it's been fun because I feel so unattached to the story now. Like I feel like when people listen, they're going to learn a lot about me, but
And
they
your process too, because if it's not fully polished, it's like you're showing the
the organ.
messy, yeah, room with paints on the wall and there's like clippings on the floor, right?
Yeah, and I'm as like a perfectionist my whole life. This is so out of the norm for me. But what just kept coming through is that heartbreak is so universal. And this story, although it is what created me as a healer, like if this didn't happen, I would not be the person I am right now serving people. But the story is no longer mine. I used to feel really like clingy to my art, and like I was like, no, this is what I mean by this poem and this is what this means. And I realized anytime you release art, you give it to the world. Your interpretation is of course first, but people are going to experience and feel it. And I feel like this takes it a step further to say, I took this true story, I took all these real people, I fictionalized just a little bit just to make it fun, but like the majority of it's true. But I also want people to show me where there's plot holes, tell me when things don't make sense. Also tell me like this could be so cool if this happened. Like just the other day, I'm pretty sure we renamed a character because I was filming because I read it week by week on YouTube. And I was filming and I was like, this character name is so stupid. And I caught myself saying it. I was like, Marshall's such a stupid name. Like, what am I doing? And I'm like having this whole crash out and it's all being filmed. And so I posted it and was like, what do you guys think? Like, should I change this name? Because I was trying to keep almost more for continuity in my head. I was trying to keep the first letters the same as the real person, just to kind of keep a little organization. That's not true for every character, but it was like, it had to be an M name. And I was like, it can't be Mike. It can't be Matt,
I love like the organizational tricks you're talking about. I also do stuff like that. And I will just use an I statement. I can hold on to those things like really tightly sometimes.
Oh,
And
yeah.
it's nice to then like release them a little bit sometimes
Yeah.
too.
And it's just been fun. And it's nice because anytime I release something, I'm like, it's not published. That is not set in stone. If I flub a word, if someone's like, hey, grammatically, that's not correct, or I don't know what you're talking about, I feel like it creates a lot of freedom. But I also want to create, I think that we're craving more community, but like in a real way. I'm like, my goal with this has always been a movie or a show. Like I've always seen it. Because I grew up, wanting to be an actress and in LA for so long, I see everything visually. And I remember a long time ago, someone was like, you should write the books to what you want because then you own the IP. Because when I was getting my show made, there were so many big changes they wanted to make. So I was like, anything I want to be on a screen, I want to first write it to own it. But I was just like, who says I'm the best at this? Like, let's bring in the world. I mean, to be fair, I didn't write this to be read in this way. So I like to tell people that because like, I haven't gotten to a sex scene yet, but I'm close and I'm like getting really nervous. I'm just like,
Well, because if it's a memoir, these are things that actually happen too, right?
yeah,
So,
but no, it's not a memoir. So it is fiction.
Well, okay.
It's based on a true story. But it is like this funny thing. I'm like, yeah, when I wrote this, I wrote it to be kind of like a smut 50 Shades book. And now here I am like,
you're the one reading it. Yeah,
now
right.
here I am reading it on camera. Because even on Audible, there's a little bit of a shield.
Oh, no, they can see you. Yeah, get a little flush. Yeah, right.
Yeah, so I'm coming up pretty close. I literally the one I'm releasing on Thursday is about me losing my virginity. Yeah, like straight up. So I'm just like getting really flustered, but it feels really fun. But it's also just like, I don't know. It's I love novelty. I'm like, if I'm not having fun, like, what is even the point? And this feels like such a fun way to share this story that's been cooking for almost a decade and it wants to be seen. I feel like it's also fun reading it because you know how it is as a writer. You read something you wrote years ago and you're like, this is good.
Well, sometimes I say this is good. Others I'm like, oh, I can't believe I wrote that. But then there are times I go look back and I'm like, wow, I do feel very proud about that.
Yeah.
And there are other times like, oh, I'm glad I'm not.
Totally. Yeah, totally. There's always both. But it's just, I think when you're really in that channeling, I feel this book was so channeled that it's like these short, it's really easy. It's not like some super dense book. I think people would expect a self-help book from me. This is not that. But I've always learned better from story. Like The Alchemist is so stuck in my brain because it was a story versus like all the other books I've read that are amazing, but they're more faction like teaching. So it was like, I want to read a book that I would like, which would be like kind of a smutty romance book, but also I'm telling it from this age. So like there is obviously an element of learning and there's a big turn at the end and things like that. But I just thought like, let's do this in a way that's never been done. Like, wouldn't it be cool to have a whole world that's like eventually really excited and like the book is called Him, and so there's a lot of different men in it, so it's kind of like who is him like as you're going through. And yeah, it's been really fun. It's also a way bigger commitment than I had kind of initially realized. Like I've never launched something twice a week of like, it's a full production, setting up the lights, setting up the camera, practicing. I create this little book every time and then launching it and promoting it. So it's a big undertaking, but I feel so, I mean, it's really me releasing this 18-year-old that like when I read it, I get so emotional because she just had such a fucking hard couple years. And I feel like this is me honoring her in the best way I know how, of performing it in my voice, in my house, in my home. Like I've come so far in who I am from who I was then that even when I read it, sometimes I'm like, oh my gosh, I forgot like how far we've come. But I feel like I'm just doing her really proud. And that's like what I'm most like attuned to, more so than like if anyone likes it. I'm like, I feel like she's having a ball. And that's what I'm most excited about.
I think about this a lot. So as a millennial, I'm turning 41. I'm a Pisces, so I'm turning 41 very soon. And where I am now is so different than where I was 10 years ago, 20 years ago in my 20s. And a lot of the people who will be watching this will be in their 20s and their 30s, and there'll be some who will be 40s and 50s, right?
Yeah.
But we as millennials, we have this opportunity to share with younger generations what we've gone through. It's exactly what you're talking about. And I didn't necessarily have great role models. I had some really great teachers and, mentors and things like that. But society, I can just speak for me. Society did not prepare me well for life. And so we can share our process with other people, not to say that they should copy us. There's a bunch of things that I did. I would say, definitely don't do this. Like, do what I did twice. Maybe don't do what I did only once. And for you to be able to so openly and so charismatically share your experience and going into those vulnerable places, like the time where you lost your virginity, and to show people this is what that was like, this is what I learned, and then maybe also give, and I'm sure you do this in your social media and the rest of the container of what you provide for people, of the meta learning of this is now what I would encourage others to be curious about doing. Like that's my way of saying, I suggest you do this. Like, I encourage you to be curious about this, right? I'm not gonna tell people what to do. But to then share that learning, so people who come after us, I have an 8-year-old. I want her to not necessarily make some of the same mistakes that I made. Not that I regret my life. I like who I am. I like who I've become. This very odd battle mage is a very unique manifestation here. But there's a lot of, I think, pain that can be avoided for people. And using this medium of social media and YouTube to be able to be so raw and so open, I just think it's really cool. So I'm just holding a mirror saying, that sounds great. That's awesome.
Thank you so much. Yeah, and you're so right. I mean, the older I get, the more appreciative I am of being a millennial, but also I'm just blown away by like what we ate, what we were told.
Oh my God, just garbage, poison.
Just garbage. I mean, I was like constantly told to like dress differently because I was fat, or like put on makeup because you have a pimple. Like, it's like so cool to me that these girls wear no makeup and like pimple patches out. I'm like
little stars on their faces now. Yeah, little stars.
Like, you'd be ruined, like I'm also from Las Vegas, so I'm talking like girls had full makeup and eyelashes and like remember teased hair? So high.
Wild.
And it's so, yeah, I think that the more vulnerable you can be, the more you allow others to be vulnerable. And one thing I've had a hard time with my come up on social media is that like I am known as this spiritual girl, but I'm so much more. And to me, being a creative is what I am over everything. And so it was difficult when I launched my second book after having a platform, because it like wasn't fully resonating, because people are like, we just want Reiki from you. We want you to heal us and we want you to teach us. We don't want to see your art. And it was just like a bit heartbreaking for me, because I'm like, to feel like the world, like people, when you have a following, they feel like they know you, which fair enough, they watch you every day, but they message you like they're your friend. And it's like, for me, I got to the point where I was like, if I'm gonna be this public, I want them to know the real me.
You see the whole circle, not just one facet.
Yeah. And some people,
some of it's messy, some of it's messy.
So messy. And I think that people have seen the healed version, which is great. But I think that when you see the unhealed version, you see how far that journey is. And it makes you actually appreciate the healed version more, with me and with your like people's own life. I think sometimes people are like, oh, well, she has this perfect this, and this. And I'm like, no, I want to show you all of the, the ghosts in the closet. So you can see like it wasn't easy and it wasn't always this way, but with work, anyone can be there. And I'm going to incorporate probably next week or the next one, do like a weekly book club where we can kind of do what you were saying, where we're like talking about the alchemy of it, instead of just the book is the book online, because I want it to feel very succinct and cohesive. But I'm like, I also want to bring in like the teachings now and get a little deeper of like, this is what this actually did, but like I couldn't fully go there in the book because of time. So I feel like my goal is to really make it a conversation with people. I'm a generator. I like to respond to life. I'm like, I don't want to just read at you. I want to like know what you think, and I want to talk about it, and I want us to be in it together. And I don't feel like I've ever really seen someone bring someone into the art. Like, even if the book ever gets made, it might say like by Talyn Fiore, like, and everyone else.
Yeah, right.
Right, yeah. Like, if people actually give me feedback that ends up in it, I want it to feel like the world's book, because it's so far away. It doesn't even really feel like me. At times, other parts, the other day I was filming and I started crying after, and I had to I said a line that like, they won't understand why it means something, but it means something to me. And I just sat there and like cried, and I was filming it. And I was like, this is talk about some shadow work, just diving straight in. But it is such a beautiful way to hold it now and almost share it. And then like, how it is with alchemy, it makes all of that pain feel like it was so purposeful, because I'm creating this beautiful thing out of it.
Yeah, and it's something that I think about a lot. And it's so easy for me and others to say when we're out of that pain. And I can think about my own childhood sexual abuse. Now it's not a problem for me. I'd be like, oh, I don't like regret that that happened. I've learned so much. I can now hold those healing keys for other people, and it's like great, right?
Yeah.
But for people who are still in that process, like it's the worst fucking thing in the universe for
Yeah.
them. And to not see, there's a great Zen saying that I love. It's people love to celebrate the crowned kings and queens of the present without remembering the sweaty horses of the past. That those same kings and queens, they were sweaty horses in, working. And that work, if people don't see that evolution and that transition, they kind of think that then people are born, and not that I'm perfect, but that they are born healed, right? No
Yeah.
longer super angry or aggressive or wounded or scared or whatever it is, but this like, strong, big 220-pound bodybuilder who's like don't give a fuck about nothing. And it's like, no, I actually have many years of like really hard pain and self-doubt and insecurity and like all these things. And if you want to have some part of this archetype in you, beloved viewer, beloved recipient of information, like you have to acknowledge these other parts and then understand that transition, and then understand where are your unhealed parts in you, heal those, so then you can become your own archetypal energy out in the world.
Totally. I mean, if you think about a movie, like who's just gonna watch like a guy just like win, 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 win. He wins and then it's like, okay, it's over. It's like the pursuit of happiness. Like when you think about that movie is so impactful. We only get like 1 minute of happiness. Like literally, it's like pain, 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 and then it's like, hey, by the way, this finally worked. But that's not even really like you're just given that as a little token. And I think, people respond and understand pain because so many people are stuck in the pain. And I think that that's something that I personally too like have avoided. My channel is very positive. It's very empowerment. I want people to go on there and feel good. But I'm also kind of like what you were saying. I was like, I feel like sometimes people are like missing the jump. Even in my concussion, I feel like I didn't really talk about how bad it was until after, because I like to present the lesson with the lesson learned. But I'm like, it's so important to meet people where they're at. I feel like such a huge part of this book for me too is to reach girls that have been in toxic relationships and tell them it's like not your fault. Because I feel like when you're in one of those relationships where you're not treated well, you just feel like such an
Well,
idiot.
I deserve this. Somehow
Yeah.
this must have happened to me because I deserve this.
And
Yeah.
everyone's like, you're still with that person, but you like are so addicted, you can't get out. And so it really shows me stuck in that cycle for years. And I think that's so important because I feel like girls, like there's just so much. I mean, men and women have such different challenges, but I feel like the toxic love is something we are force fed by media. Like I just saw Wuthering Heights the other day and it like destroyed me. I was like, if I think about my top, it's like Titanic, Great Gatsby, with like they all die, or like it's all doomed.
It's
And I'm
rough.
like we're literally being fed this toxic
It
yearning.
almost seems intentional from some sort of control system to keep us in a predation cycle, yeah, of
Yeah,
predatory behavior.
yeah. I mean, like we're both like, yeah.
I do not consent.
I know. And then it's like, then you have Summer I Turned Pretty where she like ends up, it's just like, it's all so, I watch it and I feel like I'm watching it like without the rose colored glasses. And I'm like, you guys, we can't keep giving this same, and I also love it. So like, that in lies my own tension. Like I love it, but I can also see this is not what young girls should be watching. And I feel like that's my goal with this is make it like fun and yearny, but also give it a different kind of ending of like what actually happens and should happen. Because we're just, yeah, I feel like girls are just out there feeling like idiots. And I'm sure guys are like both sides are feeling like idiots.
Oh, the men feel like idiots equally. They have no idea what they're doing, and it's a mess. It's an absolute mess. That's why we need to have more male and female friends to actually compare notes to be like, what is like, there's this another social media person, and one of her things it's Emily's School of Women, and she just talks on Instagram, and it's like very silly and very like ad hoc in her kitchen, just literally explaining to guys her perspective of a woman dating, of like, man, if you want your girlfriend to like you, or ask, one of them was like, say this, what do you think? And then stop talking, let her listen, but it's like, and I'm like, I'm 40, and like, I don't know, like, I think I'm pretty good with women now. And I was like, damn, I think I should do that more. I'm just like, what do you think?
Like you just cracked the code to dating. Like that is, it just really can be that simple. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So funny. So One of the things I noticed on your social media that I love, talking about us ending Year of the Snake, we're transitioning into a new year. I think it's today, right? Okay, so that's today. I don't know, will you share some wisdom around that you have kind of like received from the field and how that's landing for you? And then maybe also dovetail that into some of your offerings, of how you work with clients and then how people can kind of interact with you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I selfishly ask because I am also curious of this transition and because I do notice today. And so like, I do want to hear. And so what do you think?
Yeah, perfect. Like you did a great job practicing already. So yeah, the year of the snake has been so fast. I love when I don't know too much about something until the end of it because I feel like I wasn't super into the year of the snake as it was happening. And then the last few months, it's really blown up and I've done a lot more research on it and spoke to my feng shui girl about it and all these things. So really the last 12 months from today backwards was the final shedding. So it is really leaving the old identities, the old patterns. But when you think of, I like to think of shedding and like giving birth kind of like the same, because when you're about to give a miracle of life, right, it is the most painful moment before the most miraculous. And the physical woman's body has to contract to expand. If a baby came out, like it would kill her, right? So it's like contract, expand, contract, expand. So I feel like that's what the last year was. It was these mini contractions and then expansions and then contractions and expansions to really prepare the stage for this year of the horse. And so it was probably a painful year. I think a lot of people had a lot. I know I can speak for myself. The concussion like really leveled me for months. And it was like old wounds came up, childhood stuff. And so it's really meant to be a year of looking at what you don't want to give momentum to anymore, give power to. Fire Horse, which starts today, is all about momentum. So it really is like if you're going to fail, it's going to happen quick. But also if you win, it's going to happen quick. So the turnover will be quicker. But this year of the shedding was to get much clearer on like, what are you going to feed? And what are you going to no longer give energy to? What boundaries you're going to have? I feel like a lot of people had friends and relationships fall away of what no longer serves, right? And it was getting clear of who am I now? Doesn't matter who I've ever been before. Who do I choose to be now based on all this pain kind of rearing its head? You know, I love the example of if you have a bucket of water and it's filled with a bunch of black sand at the bottom. I feel like as a healer, people want you to put your hands on the thing that sand just disappears. The sand is gone, the trauma's gone. But what happens? You pour water, clear water into the bucket and the sand has to come up out of the bucket and you got to keep pouring water and it's a slow process. It doesn't happen, you know, it's like, because sand, it moves all around. You got to just keep pouring pure water in it. It comes out, it comes out. So I always tell my clients, when you're experiencing a big trigger that you've worked with before, it's a good sign. It is coming out of the top to be released. As long as you don't re-identify with it, it's also coming through so you can make a different choice this time. You know, it kind of is like the final exam at the end of the year. It's like, okay, like we're going to look at the same problem. Are you going to handle it the same or are we going to try a new way?
And we can think about this as either repetition compulsion or now we have a new opportunity to then try something new. I think what can be hard for people, myself included, is if we don't have the tools of the new way, then we can get locked in a predaceous cycle. We can call it the cycle of samsara, whatever it is. How do you help clients by giving them a new tool so they can learn how to deal with these situations in a new way, then actually shed that skin and then emerge into whatever the fire horse of their life is?
I would say the most powerful, easy tool to do, I'm obsessed with Kabbalah right now, so this is a Kabbalah practice, is anytime you're triggered, pause and say what a gift. Literally say what a gift. Because
I love that, but it's like it's so easy after when you see it as a gift. When you're in it, you're like,
and that's what a gift. Right. I feel like that's the thing is so many people have gotten so much more intelligent when it comes to trauma. So after it's like hindsight, like, oh, I know why that happened. So
man, I've been gifted so much.
This is the shift to embodiment. You just got rear-ended by a car and just sitting there and saying, pause, what a gift. And literally what happens with the brain is when we're looking for a solution. So when we say this is a gift, we're now shifting out of victim mindset and we're saying there's a lesson here and I'm going to look for it. And it's also just telling the universe, I believe these three things are true. Everything is from the creator, everything is good, and everything is meant for me. So even when you're triggered and you're like, ooh, what a gift, you are agreeing to those three things being true. And now you've completely shifted back to neutral. And you can't solve a problem in the same energy that created it. So it's just about trying to get to neutral as quick as possible. Even if you're literally like, what a gift, what a gift, what a gift, what a gift. Like just say it until you literally are like, okay, I do know from past experiences, everything works out my highest good, even if it takes some time. So I'm going to choose in the middle of this frustration to say, I see it now before I see it, because that's real faith.
And it can be with you when you have strong boundaries. Let's say you're in a burning building. What a gift. I now know how to get out of the building now. You don't
Yep.
need to stay in the burning building, but the gift
Yeah.
is the discerning wisdom to get out of Dodge. Like, time for me to leave now. And now I
Mhm.
know boundaries. I know what is good for me. I know what is bad for me. And that's the gift. So I
Yeah.
don't need to necessarily tolerate bad behavior or a burning building from my environment. I can go to safety or get a bucket of water or get a pearl, the proverbial pearl for the house, right?
Yeah, and it's so true. It's like, I always say that too. It's about just getting to neutral, because it's not that you're not going to then state your boundary or send the email or whatever it is. It's getting to neutral first, because it's when we're reactive, that situation is now has the power over us. It's about getting to neutral and then saying like, hey, just, like, I'm not going to accept this. So like, I'm going to end this conversation, whatever it is. But it's just about saying, I have the power to say it's a gift, and then I choose from there.
And
Mhm.
that's then you choose from I would say, like, not to sound like so woo woo, but an aligned place. My energy system is fully aligned. I'm operating in my heart. My field is solid and stable. And then I can make a good, solid choice
Mhm.
based on that deep connection and knowing with divinity, with my guides, with like a team from that source of love that is also in my own heart, that is me. And then I
Mhm.
can see these things that are happening, not to me, but being gifted to, with me, from me, to then learn and grow, to then grow into whatever that crowned king and or queen of the present is, even if I am the sweaty horse right now in this year of the fire horse.
Yeah, exactly.
So what is the best way for people to get in touch with you? Let's say people are like, oh my God, this YouTube channel sounds awesome. I want to be involved in the reading. And I definitely want to hear about this loss of virginity story. That could be very exciting. How can people interface with you the best way?
Yeah, it's funny because I make everything really simple. Everything's my name. My website's talynfiore.com. Instagram is Talyn Fiore. YouTube is Talyn Fiore. It's the spelling of it that's sometimes tricky. So it's funny. I'm like, I made it so easy.
Autocorrect will potentially lead you astray here. So I know from experience.
Yeah, and yeah, I feel like I try to have everything be really together. Like all my offerings for one-on-one mentorship, Reiki trainings are on my website. And then YouTube is really where I'm doing the book. I'm doing a lot of frequency work right now too. Just I live with YouTube frequencies on my TV while I work during the day. So I've been playing with that a little bit and just giving away for free, because I feel like I like a certain aesthetic that I haven't been able to find on YouTube. It's a lot of
Cool.
like medallions and fairies, and I'm like, I just want something that feels like really normal,
And so are those like solfeggio frequencies of what's on, and so you have like a running like a long like multi-hour frequency.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I will
Yeah,
check that out. That sounds
yeah,
great.
like a long, like a fireplace, but I also Reiki it. So it's filling your space with Reiki. There's like a certain frequency for certainty or abundance, depending on the one.
That's
And
awesome.
then, yeah, and then I do chapters every Monday and Thursday. So that's
Okay,
kind of
cool.
like the current cadence of
I will
everything.
check that out. That sounds great. Yeah,
Yeah.
I love this solfeggio frequency. I listen to a lot of like 4 hertz and then different heart frequency stuff.
Mhm.
And so to have something on, I have that on frequently in the background. And so
Yeah.
to have another resource, that sounds great for me personally.
Yeah. Yeah. I was going to say my YouTube is all, I can't wait to hear what you think about my virginity story.
I'm excited about it.
Now
It'll
that
be
we're friends, like I could get.
great. Yeah, it'll be great.
Well, this has been so incredible. It's been so nice to feel you and your heart. I love
Yeah,
how open you are, and it's been
yeah.
really, really nice.
We host cool events here in Colorado. So if you ever want to come
Okay.
out, there's a great group of magic people who do awesome things, and there's some very, very fun, heart-opening psychedelics that are legal here in Colorado for Prop 122. And we're
Yeah.
working on actually getting a good friend of ours, Will Carr, to become governor of Colorado to even legalize more of these things for healing practices. So there's
That's
a
amazing.
there's a very strong contingency of magic people and healing that is happening here to make Colorado a bastion in the middle of the country. And with the Rocky Mountains, there's like some of the most like highest concentration of quartz crystal here in Colorado, in the foothills and in the Rocky Mountains. And so like the area just like vibrates. I know Sedona also has a lot of that too.
Yeah.
But here in like Boulder County, it's very, very, very powerful. And so you're welcome to come and hang out with us.
Yeah, I'll definitely let you know. I've definitely had a lot of journey with like medicine throughout my life. It was a huge part of my awakening. So I'm always a huge proponent for that. So that's really awesome.
It's very cool. Talyn, thank you for coming on the show. Everyone, please go check her stuff out. I'm curious. I'm curious what some of cool jewelry I could have to enhance my field, and from this passive perspective too, because I feel like I'm constantly like re-upping and casting spells, particularly protection spells on myself from the negative predation that I experience. When you kind of like walk around and call yourself a battle mage, or things like, all right, cool, I guess we're gonna fight now. I'm like, I don't really want to fight you, but
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like phenakite would be really good on you, but we can have a conversation sometime.
sweet. I love it. I love it. So thank you very much. People, everyone, please check out her work. And if you're interested in Reiki, it sounds like this is a great person to learn from as well. So thank you, Talyn.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. We'll see you all next time.